Hello, and welcome to this episode of To the Point. I'm Neil Stanley, and today we're going to talk about a few specific deposit strategies. But first, we're going to talk a little bit about the big picture. In the big picture, depositors are now rate aware. We've had rates go up, and now we've had them come down a little bit. And so as they have become rate sensitive and rate aware, we find that there are some content out there. They are fine with non-interest bearing or low yielding deposits, and you need to be able to respect them and keep that environment such that they are not stirred. And then you need to show respect to those who are stirred and they become curious about their options. And lastly, you need to negotiate with the rate shoppers. Paying the highest rates will not be an effective long-term strategy. So if we look at the history of deposits, we see many things. We see that we ramped up and then we came down to about 17.5 trillion in total domestic deposits, about 10.6 trillion in non-maturing interest bearing, about 3.8 trillion in non-interest bearing, and 3 trillion in interest-bearing term deposits. These are all distinct categories, and obviously there are some sleepers, curious, and shoppers in each of these categories, but the shoppers tend to move towards the higher yields, and the sleepers tend to be okay with lower yields. But no matter what category they're in, we need to use our best approach, but our best foot forward, because each one of these categories has a different yield. The non-maturing interest-bearing has a blended yield of about 2.7% in the third quarter of 2024. Now that's very much differentiated by simple savings accounts that are very low yielding and high yield money market accounts that would be in there. And of course, the non-interest bearing have a yield of 0 by definition, and the CDs have a blended yield of about 4.6%. But that category has grown dramatically, and therefore there's a lot of curious and shoppers in that category. And we need to be sure that we are putting our best foot forward in that. So one of the things we need to do is deal with early withdrawal options, because early withdrawal is the number one issue for people who are anxious about doing business with your financial institution. What if I want or need my money ahead of maturity? What should the consequence be? How should this be handled? Let's talk about that today. We highly recommend that you provide a statement to your depositors of the things that you believe in, the things that you want to underline or be the foundation of how you deal with them. And so we would say something like this: we are honored to be your financial institution and offer these benefits that are not found at all other financial institutions. The first benefit is we pledge that early withdrawal will never be restricted and accrued interest will never be withheld in the event of early withdrawal. Next, we want to promote, or we want to offer, partial withdrawal options of CDs without any compensation required to be based only, with any compensation only to be based only on the withdrawn amount. What we're meaning there is we can offer a partial withdrawal and base the calculation of the penalty only on the amount withdrawn. It's very important to do this. And then lastly, our classic time deposit has simple, easy to calculate penalties. And today we're going to give you a tool to work with that, to make sure that you and your team can easily quantify the consequences of early withdrawal. So to do that, we're going to go into our website, so thecorepoint.com, go over here to resources, click on that, and click on market resources. This is out on our website, so you can go access this. Click on time deposit early withdrawal calculator, and it's going to bring up something that we've loaded into box.com. It's the time deposit early withdrawal calculator. And with this calculator, you can go out and run the numbers. So let's say that we have a 12-month account. So in order to use this, you can see that you need to tell it that you want to access this by downloading it, and it's going to download the system, and then you can open that account, open that worksheet, and it's going to pop up here that there's a worksheet. You can see it's being scanned on my system, and it's going to open up that worksheet, and then you can access it and continue to access it as your team needs it. You can share it with your team there. So it's going to load that, and it's coming up. Um, as it does, I'm gonna open the file. It's working on it, and there it is. So I'm going to click on that and enable editing. And once the editing is enabled, I'll be able to go in and work with this spreadsheet. So let me bring it full size. Anything that is shaded, I can enter in. So let's say that I have a 12-month account. Many of you are aware that we recommended many years ago, a few years ago at least, that we do a penalty based upon the term alone, not based on the interest rate. So with a 12-month account, we recommended 0.1% penalty for every month of the original term. So that's what's built into this. It's got a cap of 3% penalty. So if you want something different, let me know, and we can help you with that. You can go in and unlock the spreadsheet. So if you had a 12-month account with a 0.1% for every month, that would be 1.2%. Let's say you had a $100,000 account and $50 of interest in it. Well, that would mean that $100,000, $50 account would have a penalty for early withdrawal of $1,200.60. And they would have the ability to cash out with $98,849.40. And you can print this so you can document how you came up with that. And because we want to be in a position to acknowledge and respect a partial withdrawal, we've got this so that if they have a specific number in mind, for example, they want $40,000 of their account, the system will use some algebra and go in and say, we're going to give you all of the interest, and we are going to need $40,435.83 of principal out of the account in order to net, after the early withdrawal penalty of $485.83, in order to net $40,000. This is that targeted net withdrawal calculation. Now, if in fact you're still using so many months of interest, let's say it's a 6-month penalty for early withdrawal, you can enter that in, and it will then go in and say, well, 6 months of interest at 4.1%, if that's your interest rate. You can see those are shaded areas. That means you can highlight them and change them. If that's the situation, then the penalty would be $2,051.03. If you're wanting $40,000 out, the penalty would be $837.16. There's a little description here that tells you if left blank, the system will develop penalty based only on the number of months of the original term. If there is a rate entered, then the system will use only the number of months of interest to calculate the penalty. So if this is blank, it resorts to using the terminology up here. If it's filled out, say I put in there 12 months of interest, it's going to use that as the calculation method. So we hope this spreadsheet is helpful to you. I find that financial institutions are regularly looking for options, and this is just one of those things that we wanted to provide to you today as a value add to the system that we offer. If you have any questions about this or other things, please don't hesitate to set up an appointment with me. You can see my link here, calendly.com/Neil-the-CorePoint. So it is my pleasure to present this material to you. I look forward to your suggestions, your questions. If you have something you would like me to do a To The Point on, let me know, and I will promise to research it, and if I think I have the ability to share something worthwhile, I'll put together another episode. Until then, make it a great day.